in this spot every Wednesday at 1 o'clock just to share some tips and tricks and things that I have learned or the girls have learned, and just share them with you and hope that you find them helpful or maybe inspire you to do something new. Today, we're going to build garden trellises since it's spring, and that's going to be something that'll be super useful for you guys. And then I'm also going to show you how to build a very, very easy shelf, and it's super cute. And believe it or not, you can probably do this right now at home in less than $8. And the garden trellis, honestly, a couple bucks. And if you have ever priced out garden trellises, you know that they're expensive. So I think that you are going to find this very helpful and fun. And also explain some tools along the way. You don't have to have fancy tools to do this project. You can probably just use what you have at home, or borrow a neighbor or a friend's. And yeah, so it'll be insightful, and you'll also get to learn a little bit of tool knowledge. Ready to get started? Mm-hmm. Okay, what we have got here material-wise. So we're going to start with the garden trellis first. And this right here is just a 1x2. This is poplar, but you can get fir. It doesn't really matter what type of wood you want to get, but I have two. They were 12-foot sticks of 1x2 material. Now, if you are really wanting this to last a long time, you could get weather treated, pre-treated, so it's going to have the chemicals and things in it that's going to help it withstand weather and water and all of that. But honestly, this, even just being a 1x2 piece of poplar, it's still going to be so much better built than any of the ones that you're going to get when you just go and buy one. So if you're unfamiliar with a trellis is, any kind of vine. So whenever you see a big pot or in your garden and you see looks like a ladder that comes up from that pot or garden space and they have a vine or something growing on it, that is a garden trellis. And I have made mine here only 6 foot tall, just so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. But take into account where you're wanting this vine to grow. Do you need it to go up to a certain window? Do you have some pergola or something that you're needing this to grow on top of? So kind of think it through, the height that you're needing yours to be. Also, if you're putting it down in a pot, you're going to want that to go down into the pot, probably a foot or so, because once that vine grows up, the weight of that could shift your garden trellis just a little bit. So you're going to want to really anchor it down in that pot. So make sure you're remembering that you're probably going to lose a foot off the bottom of this trellis here. So you will need 1x2 of whatever type of wood you decide to use, and we're talking a couple of bucks. So when you go to your local home improvement store, this is just going to cost you a couple of dollars. I have a nail gun here. This is a air hose nail gun, and you do not need this. I'm going to use this today just sake of time, because it obviously makes projects much, much quicker if you do have access to this. It's great, definitely the way to go. But for longevity purposes, since we're trying to build this to last, screws are always going to hold up better than using a nail gun. So what I have here is a DeWalt drill with a drill bit. I think, is Larry here? Larry, do you remember what size this drill bit is? 7/16 or something?
Probably 1/8.
Okay, 1/8. Something like that. When you're picking out your drill bit, I have some small screws here. You want to make sure that your drill bit is smaller than your screw. So this is for a pilot hole. So what you're doing here is, because your wood is not very big, you're going to go ahead and drill that pilot hole so that you don't have splitting and cracking. There's nothing worse than getting a project almost done and it splits and cracks on you, and then you've got to try to get that piece off and replace, and it's just a mess. So pilot hole, screws. Something else that you need. This is just another DeWalt drill with a Phillips head on it and some wood glue. We're also going to use a miter saw for this project. You don't have to have a miter saw. You could plan this out ahead of time from going to your home improvement store, and they will actually cut the wood for you, but you're going to want to know your measurements and how many pieces that you need. So for what I am doing here, these are 6 foot long, these pieces, the side rails. And then my crossbars are 14 inches wide. And I've cut 3. We're going to go cut maybe 1 or 2 more, just so you can kind of see what a miter saw looks like and what I'm talking about. But again, you can have Lowe's or Home Depot do that for you. And for the first one, I'll go ahead and drill the pilot holes just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to start with my 14-inch wide. Can they see this on the table? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. I'm going to go, so when you're doing this, keep in mind that this is going to be spaced out even on the edges here, on each edge. And so you're going to want to come in about 1 inch. So that way you're in the center of your cross rail to your side rail. So I'm going to drill 2 pilot holes here, about one inch in. Okay, so I'm going to drill a pilot hole. This is what it looks like. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, they can see.
Yeah, okay. Just a small hole. And let's start up here at the very top of our side rails. You don't have to have a fancy table for this. Most of the time when I'm building things, it's in the floor of my garage. So do not be intimidated if you don't have all the fancy tools in the table space, in the whole bit. You do not have to have that. Okay, so I'm just lining mine up flush here. Let me get 2 screws. I'm using my drill with my Phillips bit. Okay. Do the other side. Now you can make these really cool. You could do them all kinds of different designs or patterns. You could do X's, you could do some horizontal lines. You could really get creative with this. Ours here today is just for the purpose of kind of showing you that you can do this, and you can do it inexpensively, and you can do it better built than the ones that you're going to buy. Okay, so how easy is that? We already got one on. So for the next one, I'm going to go about 12 inches or so down. Yeah, so right here, I'm measuring from the bottom edge of my board here to the top, making a little line on each side. So we would like ours to be level. Lining that up. The second one's kind of important. So if you don't line these up just right, you may have it kind of bow. So we just want to make sure that we're paying attention to our edges here and lining that back up straight. So. Okay. See how much quicker that was? Like if you can get one of these, you can get, so this is attached to a whole hiatus because we build a lot of furniture, we build kitchen cabinets, and all kinds of things. And so that's why they have this heavy duty apparatus going. But you can get a very small air condenser unit that isn't that heavy. You can carry it around yourself. You can get your small air hose, and this is a really small finish nailer here. So there's nothing heavy about this. It is actually very simple and easy to use. Yes, I should be wearing eye gear. I get it. And I will do that when I go over to the saw, but kind of not my first rodeo, which is not an excuse for safety. So don't message me about that. Okay, so we're going to go over to the miter saw now, which just means this one is a full range, so it's for cutting larger pieces of wood. You can get smaller options than this. This is a very large option. They're not that expensive. If you get a smaller one, they're probably around $60 to $80, but this is going to be a really great versatile utility tool that will be so handy in so many projects. So I would definitely advise getting one of those if you are interested in woodworking at all and not sure what to start with. Definitely start with a drill, and I would definitely probably start with a miter saw and a sander. But so I'm gonna go over here and cut just 2 more real quick. I have measured the first one. So on this, if you can see, I just have measured here. And we're gonna line this measurement up with your center bar here. I forgot my glasses, and I said I would wear them, so I'm gonna wear them. Okay, we're lined up, and we can kind of pull it down and see where that blade's gonna hit on that line. There we go, 1 second, it was great. Measure 1 more. Check it. Okay. There we go. How easy was that? Okay, so we're going to make our next couple of marks here. And I'll just put one more on so you can kind of see what I'm saying here and what it's going to end up looking like. Again, we're marking 12 inches down. And lining that line up at the top again to be consistent. I didn't use wood glue, and you guys didn't say anything. So we're gonna wood glue these edges right here. You don't have to do this. It just adds that little extra stability, you know, just everything works better with just a little dab of glue. Here we go. Then we're gonna nail it on. You can kind of see what we've got working here. So now we're going to stick this down in our pot, and we're going to get our vine to attach and grow up this. And that way it's going to reach where you want it to go. You've only spent a couple of dollars on this, and it's going to last so much better. And then you can also get really creative with it and make it just like an art piece in your garden. So have fun with this. This could be the showstopper in your garden. So super easy. If you guys have questions on that, make sure you tune in next Wednesday at 1 o'clock and like and comment and share our stuff. We would really appreciate it, and it gives us such encouragement to know that you guys are finding this information useful. And yeah, anything else, girls? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope to see you next week.